Hello and welcome to the lesson in a nutshell for our data lesson in Math 10C. So our first class, we're going to be focusing on data. And a lot of those data are going to come in the form of ordered pairs. So the horizontal variable will be one over which we have some control. And then the variable we plot on the vertical axis will be the one which we do not control directly. So if we're, say, putting masses on a scale and checking the reading, the amount of mass we put on would be the horizontal axis because that is what we are actively controlling. And then the scale reading would be the vertical axis because that's the side effect. Now, as we plot these data points, we plot them as ordered pairs with x and y values. So we can plot this data. Now, sometimes they're going to be straight lines, sometimes they're not. We could have data that comes out with this nice gentle curve. And we'll be looking at those in the long term. But for Math 10C, when we're looking at data, we are mostly going to be looking at straight lines. So let's reset these back to 0. So we can put in a whole bunch of data points. Now, again, the data we control is our manipulated or independent variable. Khan Academy refers to it as the explanatory variable. I've only seen that terminology used on Khan Academy, but it is intuitive. That's the variable that explains what's happening. So we could take a look at a graph like this and try to find a line that fits through it. And we'll be dealing a lot more with the equations of lines later. So this is a hint of what's to come rather than today's topic. But we will be going through, because the motivation with science is to try and find the graph that best explains the data for some definition of best. In this case, this is the line that best describes the data. And this is close, but not quite as good as the optimal. There's that best fit line. But that'll be the focus initially, is plotting these points as the x and y coordinates and identifying which is horizontal and which is vertical. The horizontal is the one that we actively control, and the vertical is one that changes in response to the input we give it. So those are the two key points as we work on data in what we call the Cartesian plane, named after René Descartes, best known as the philosopher who came up with I think, therefore I am. As a child, he had notoriously bad back issues, and once he was about 10 or 11 years old, he was lying in bed looking at the tiled ceiling and noticed that if he counted tiles, he could track the motion of a fly across the ceiling. Thus was born the Cartesian plane with the x and y coordinates that we work with now. Just a little historical aside. But yes, that's what we're going to be focusing on, is using data to represent the real world.